Hello, Math 3 students. This is a supplemental video, another one that is completely optional. I had a student ask me about converting to Vertex form. So you remember on your chart, on your quadratic notes, this was standard. This was standard. And then this was factored or intercept. And this was vertex form over here. And I told you you can go over and graph it. Just need to keep that A value the same as it was. But I had a student ask me, how do you find it without graphing it? And so I thought I would show you in an optional video how to do that. So if you're interested, great. If not, it's not a big deal. Okay, so what we have to do is what we call completing the square. And this is something that we'll get back to when we do circles as well, so it's something that you will need to know how to do. All right, so the way we would start this out is we need a number. We need a number here, and I did not mean to make that mark. We need a number instead of 15 that would give me what we call a perfect square trinomial. And to find that number, what we would do is we would take half of the middle term and then square it. So first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to take this 15 away. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. And when I do that, my left side I have y minus 15. And then my right side I have x squared plus 8x. And then to find the number that goes out here, again, I would take the middle term, divide it by 2, and then square it. So I would take 8, divide that by 2, and then square that number. So that would be plus 16. Well, if I add plus 16 on this side, I have to add plus 16 on this side also. And I'm just going to put it right here. So then on the left side, I have, I'll just write it all out. I have y minus 15 plus 16 equals x squared plus 8x plus 16. You don't have to write all that out, but it helps to show you where I'm getting which numbers. So now I have a negative 15 and a positive 16, so that would combine to make y plus 1. Okay, so this is a perfect square trinomial. And the way I find the way I factor it is, again, I cut this the middle term in half, and that is what goes in the parentheses. And then I put a squared on the outside of the parentheses. So this trinomial right here equals x plus 4 quantity squared. So if I were to multiply out x plus 4 times x plus 4, I would get x squared plus 8x plus 16. So I've just factored this. That's what I did. So now what I need to do is I need to get the y by itself again. So I would subtract 1 from both sides. And that would end up y equals x plus 4 quantity squared minus 1. So there's my vertex form. And the vertex would be the opposite of this number, which is negative 4. And then this number exactly like it is. All right, I'm going to do one more. I don't want to make this video too terribly long. Let's see, where's one that's not vertex form? Okay, here's another one that's not vertex form. So let's see. I need my A value to be 1. Okay, so this one might end up having some fractions in it. That's fine, but just so you know. So what I'm going to do, I think the best thing to do is to divide by 2 on both sides. So let's divide everything by 2 because I gotta get this to be a 1. I'm just going to leave that y over 2 equals x squared minus 7 halves minus 15. Okay. So I know I'm going to need to take half of this number and square it. Well, half of 7 halves is 7 fourths. Think about that. Negative 7 halves divided by 2 is the same as times 1 half. So that equals negative 7 fourths. Then I have to square that number. This is going to get complicated, but that's fine. Before I do that, though, I want to get rid of this 15. So I'm going to add 15 on both sides. So my left side is y over 2 plus 15 equals x squared, I'm sorry, this is supposed to be an x right here, minus 7/2 x. Okay, so cut this in half and square it. 7/4 times 7/4. Well, negative. So give me a positive. 49/16. So then I'm going to add the 49/16 on this side. And I have to do the same thing over here. Plus 49/16. So let's see. We have y squared plus 49/16 plus, now I got to figure out how many. Let's see. Oops. It's 240/16 equals, and then I'm going to go ahead and factor this. This is x minus 7/4 quantity squared. Okay, so let's see, 240 plus 49, that is y squared, y over 2 plus 289/16 equals that thing. Now I need to solve for y to get the y by itself again. So I'm going to subtract this. Y squared equals x minus 7/4 quantity squared minus 289/16. Let me see if that turns out to be what we... Oh, I got to multiply that times 2. Okay. So now, still solving for y, I need to multiply times 2 on both sides. So I'm going to take this entire thing and multiply times 2. Y equals 2 times x minus 7/4 quantity squared. And then 2 times this, the 2 and the 16 cancel, and that becomes an 8 minus 289/8. Now, if you graph this, you got y equals 2 times x minus, what is that? 1.75? Yep, 1.75 squared. And you don't have to do this. This is perfectly fine to leave it like this. Minus, and then it was 36.125. So either one of these is correct, but just thought you might want to see how to get that vertex form without graphing it. Let me see if we had another one that was... Okay, so this one ended up being y equals 1/3 x minus 4x minus 15. We could do that one. Okay, let's see. Okay, so vertex form, let's go ahead and just multiply. Oh, not multiply, but take out the 1/3. Do I want to do that, or do I want to just multiply? Let's multiply both sides by 3. 3y equals x minus 12x minus 45. Now let's add 45 to both sides. 3y plus 45 equals x squared, minus 12x. Okay, let's complete the square over here. Half of negative 12 is 6. Square that, that's plus 36, which means I have to add 36 over here as well. 3y plus, what is that, 81? And then I can go ahead and factor this. That's going to be x minus 6 quantity squared. And then solve for y. Make sure I added that right. That's 11, 8, yep. Okay, so then subtract 81. Okay, now divide everything by 3. Which means I need to divide this part by 3, which also means multiply it times 1/3. Y equals 1/3 x minus 6, quantity squared. And let's say 81 divided by 3 is 27. So your vertex, this is vertex form. Vertex is 6, negative 27. Let's see if that's what my key says. Minus 6 minus 27. Yep. Okay.